Morning, everybody. Welcome to Real Talks, Dominate Your Real Estate Business. Today is Friday, May 21st, and I'm Charlie Bengel. I'd like to welcome back to our show Coach Amy Lassen. Amy, it's good to see you.
Hi, good morning. Good to see you.
Happy Friday. We have a number of topics that I think we're going to jump into this morning. But Monday, you're teaching a class. We wanted to get a little bit of a preview and maybe discuss this morning what you're posting is losing you listings. That's an interesting topic. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I've run this by several groups of agents. It was my own theory and my own observation. And as I've challenged agents to look at this, they go, "Oh, wow, how did I not see that?" Somehow, and it's got to be subconscious, agents gravitate in the things that they post proactively and then sort of spontaneously to attracting buyers. Hi, I'm out with my buyers. Hi, I'm showing houses today. Happy buyer closing. My buyer won. Bye, bye, bye. So it's like that's all they ever talk about, right? So you attract people who have interest in your topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have people who ask about buying. Is it a good time to buy? Whatever that might be. It's not necessarily attracting listings to you. Now, I'm not saying your past client who has all the confidence in the world in you and would definitely list with you next time saw your one post about buying and chose a different agent. That's
Right.
not what I mean. But in your attraction, in converting your larger sphere, in growing your reach and growing your audience and growing your brand, if you want to specialize in buyers, keep posting that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to talk about how can you skew your content to promote your competence and your professionalism and your excellence as a listing specialist. The thing that I insist in lots of different marketing classes is if you skew all of your marketing toward listing attraction, it doesn't mean you won't ever take a buyer. And of course, it's your choice.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, wait, but I also want buyers. Oh, don't you worry. If you've got listings, buyers will just line up like little ducks behind you.
I like that. So it's almost, we're trying to avoid being typecast as a buyer's agent where people think, oh, he doesn't, because there are people in this country that don't realize that agents do more than one thing. Why? Because we've never told them, right? And it's not like in high school or college, they teach you, oh, your real estate agent can help you buy and can help you sell, right? That's never really discussed. Most people know that, but there's definitely people that don't. And there's people that have an agent that they have used to help them buy their house and have a different agent that they're using to help them sell their house because they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that is shocking to people when they hear it. But, we have a letter on dominaterealestate.net that is an annual letter to clients that is designed to remind them what you do, what you're good at, where you work, why you should work with me. And, the idea is everybody gets that letter once a year, and you're not sending out 300 next week, right? You're sending out a few every week or several every week, and then you're following up with those people the following week. And, hey, did you get my letter? It makes for a very easy phone call. You have a reason to call, and, you're letting people know that, you just got, your new commercial designation, and now you're doing commercial real estate, or you just, you got your luxury home designation and you've added luxury to your repertoire or whatever, right? So I think that that's important, and reminding people that you do work with investors, that you do have a nationwide or an international referral network, right? When somebody's thinking about buying or selling in another community. So that is, if people want to check that out, that will also prevent you from being typecast. But I know that you're going to be going into a lot of this in more detail on Monday. And what time is your class on Monday?
10:30 on the East Coast.
10:30 Eastern on Monday. And all of our events are available by going to allegianceevents.com or theallegianceway.com and clicking on events. Let's pivot, if you want to, and talk a little bit about, and we're going to pivot a lot here, handling buyers in today's market. So I have typecast myself and I don't have any listings, but I have 13 buyers,
Sure.
Right? And these are all motivated folks, right? They're pre-approved and inventory's low, and I'm just on the struggle bus trying to find them homes, right? Sometimes we write and we don't win. Sometimes the agent or the client wants to write and what they want to offer makes me uncomfortable. And I play Papa Bear. And, we've heard this a lot, right? And I'm being facetious here, but sometimes the mama bears and the papa bears come out and it's, you shouldn't do this, or you don't want to do this, or we end up kind of making decisions for our clients instead of maybe asking the right questions and educating them and leading them down the path that they want.
Yeah.
I've heard so many times my clients shouldn't waive the home inspection, or I don't want them to, and I get it. I mean, I sincerely get it. But the reality is in some of those situations, if they don't, then they're not going to get the house.
Right.
They're just not going to. It will go to someone else.
Yeah.
So how are the folks that you coach, how are your clients dealing with buyers, and how are the buyers being successful in this market? Why don't we start there?
Well, it's different. It's different everywhere, but I have a best practice, that I teach, and it has been tremendously successful. I've seen in the agents who change their technique and do a more thorough job of educating their buyers, it seems to be working. So I think first things first, you said 13 buyers. I would say terrific. Reconnect with every single one of them. And if you didn't do an adequate job of vetting them for motivation, it's time. And then I get way more specific. So I would probably say, because almost no one has ever done a really detailed buyer consultation. And then when I explained that I want it to be a shared screen on Zoom in the MLS in real time, it has to be visual. Don't tell them what's going on, show them what's going on, ask them what they think about it. And then my clients are like they're ignoring me. You can see it in their eyes, my coaching clients, my real estate coaching clients. So I will then share my screen in real time on a coaching call, and I'll just do it. And then their eyes get big. So I'm saying this to all of you because we're not doing it right now, but I want you to trust me that the visual is so powerful. So if you have 13 clients that you've been showing around and you have not figured out a way to get them under contract and you've lost a couple of times, this is the script. Say, well, we've been in the market a minute now, and it's time to revise our strategy. Let's look at our buying strategy and make sure we're coming at this the right way. Schedule a time with them, say what time would work for you this week to meet me on Zoom. I'm going to log into my MLS and take you behind the curtain, and I'm going to show you the statistics and get you really, really honed in on what's happening for your target property. Then you do this. I guess we have to back up a step, Charlie. Let's find out why they're thinking of buying anyway, right? So I never, ever, ever twist arms. I would never say you have to buy, hurry up. Why didn't you offer more? I mean, if someone has a compelling reason to buy and they want me to help them win, I'm going to figure it out. If they're just thinking about it, or they're super broke, or we're looking at the top of their budget, or now's not really a good time, but if they could find a deal, I don't think I'm going to take on that buyer, period. Okay, so we've got to figure out if this person has a compelling reason to buy with the circumstances as they are. If we establish that that's a yes, then we do what I call a very visual buying strategy session with screen share on Zoom. I walk them through the statistics. I show them list to sell ratio, days on market, and I ask what they think about that, right? And I have scripts, all the things that I say, but I bring them along for the journey. And I never say, do waive the appraisal inspection, don't waive the appraisal. Neither of those.
Right.
Here's what's happening. Average days on market for your target property is 4 days. That reflects my experience as a listing agent. I can tell you, I list a property on Friday. I have offers on Friday. I usually drag it out till Monday just to get more offers.
Yep.
Frankly, average days on market in my experience is 0. But if you drag it out for the weekend, 4 days makes sense. So I have this conversation in real time. So average days on market for your target property is 4. And the list to sell ratio, the average is, and these are numbers that I did yesterday on a coaching call, and this was in my MLS, the average was 7% above asking for the target property. That was $35,000 over a $500,000 purchase. That was the average for the target for 30 days. Then I looked at the most shiny one on the list, and it went for 21% over asking. That's more than $100,000 over the $500,000. When I can show that in a table and say, what do you think? How do you feel about offering somewhere between $35,000 and $100,000 over
Mm-hmm.
First day on the market, second day on the market. How do you feel about that? And I shut up, right? And we talk about it. And this would ideally be before they ever fall in love with the kitchen or start feeling the pressure of make a decision. I don't know what to do.
Right.
And now we have to talk about what if they won't allow you to have the home inspected? Can you live with that? And then I would talk about the what ifs,
Mm-hmm.
right? I would discuss it with them because I'm kind of one of those mama bears, except that I stay short of telling them what to do.
Yeah.
But I would definitely talk through the consequences.
So, like the worst case consequence of if you can't have a home inspection and this happens, are you okay with that? Or
Yeah.
are you okay with not having a home inspection, knowing that you may be there a year and discover things that a home inspector may have discovered, and do you have the budget to do repairs that you don't discover till you're already in the property?
In Colorado Springs, if there are hidden structural issues, that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Sure.
If they're buying a $400,000 house that needs $150,000 worth of structural,
Yep.
I don't think that's worth the risk at all, especially depending on what they can afford and what their plans are.
Right.
And that's another thing. Do they plan to live here for 2 years and then PCS somewhere else?
Yep.
Then please don't.
Right.
I think that's too much roulette in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Buy and hold, baby. If you're in this house for the long run, and you never say never, right? Never say, I'll never leave this house. I'll never move. We'll never get divorced, because sure, shooting, something will happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a house that you could hang on to and rent out, I wouldn't buy with things as speculatively pressured high as they are, expecting to turn it around quickly.
Oh yeah, I think there's a lot of people that got burned very badly, and before the Great Recession, and it was the liar loans and the 0 down 100% financing, and when I need to start paying principal, I'll refinance out of it, and we saw prices drop and they couldn't, and that's what happened there. So I think that there's some people that remember the Great Recession in a way that's harmful,
mm-hmm.
and there's others that remember it in a way that's beneficial, and that we're not trying to buy a house thinking that we're going to flip it in 2 years, right?
Which honestly, given the rate of increase, that could totally happen.
It could.
I was the agent who says don't expect a profit in a year, and honestly, house that I'm closing on in June is probably going to go up $100,000 in the next year, given the rate of increase in my market right now. But you just never know when the top is. I remember learning this in the last boom crash, and that makes it sound like I think there's a crash now, and I don't think a crash is coming. It depends on your market.
Yeah.
I think a leveling off is coming. There's no way this mountain this steep can continue.
Right. Agreed.
Top eventually. But what I heard in the last was you won't know it was the top until it's behind you. Until you're on the downhill.
Oh, absolutely.
Nobody will, but I think everybody's waiting. Is this the top? Do we know? You won't know until it already happened. The hindsight is going to be the only way.
Yeah, you're not going to. Well, it's like last year when the stock market collapsed. I want to buy. Where's the bottom? You don't know.
No.
You don't know, right? And those that didn't buy in March, April, or May, they're licking their wounds right now, I imagine, because they lost a ton of money, right? But they didn't know that it was going to get worse, or that the 18th variant and the 4th wave, and you don't know. You don't know, right?
No,
you just don't know.
Really
so
with regard to being a mama bear or a papa bear, I think every single one of us, Charlie, could know our own markets better, know our own tools better, know our own statistics better. I had a disagreement yesterday with a coaching client who swore their MLS doesn't do that. We don't have that in our MLS. I can't set up searches. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm like, are you sure? Have you taken a class? And of course, every MLS has slightly different software. I get that. But I am a poster child for, I fumbled along for years. And then I would it does that, right? Or I'd Google it, and some other board in another state would have a tutorial on my type of software. I'm like, oh, it does that? That's amazing. So please, everybody, learn your MLS. It's one of your most powerful tools, and most of us take it for granted and don't even know how it works. So get all the juice that you can out of your MLS. And when you do your buying strategy sessions, I would look at 30 days of solds and no more.
I agree. I think a lot of people think that their MLSs are very different, but there's only a few companies that provide the back end
Yeah,
to an MLS in this country.
right.
So
Ooh,
it may look
yeah.
different, right? But there's not, not many. A lot of people are on Matrix, but it may look different when you log in, but Matrix is running the back end of your MLS. So anyway, I think that that's good advice to be checking out YouTube or take a class. A lot of these classes are on demand online now. And I remember before, I don't think it's mandatory anymore, at least for Bright MLS, but before I could get I think it was a disc at the time. You had to have a disc to load the MLS, right? And I had to take an MLS class to get the disc.
Mm-hmm.
So and nowadays maybe they just give you the login credentials, and that's probably not very smart. You should have to, take a class to get the credentials to get you in.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just kind of, and I took that class, over 20 years ago, and I've not taken many since. And I continue personally to probably fumble around and, you could save. I realize there's people out there that are thinking, well, I don't have time for an hour class. But if you take an hour class, you're going to save so much time because you won't be fumbling anymore, and you're going to be able to find the reports that you want and things like that. So I think that that's good advice. Let's pivot again. We've been talking about buyers, and we have, okay, I have 13 buyers. I get to the point where I have too many buyers, right? And this is a problem. Let's say I already have a great, assistant who's helping me with unlicensed activities. My transaction management's good, but I want to be spending time talking to clients and going on listing appointments and dealing with listings. I don't really want to deal with buyers anymore. Even though I still am with these 13 buyers.
Sure.
So I want to hire a buyer's agent. I put it in an ad, and it's been slow, right? I don't have any competition. I don't have any results yet. I went on Indeed, and it seems like everybody in town is hiring buyer's agents right now. What are some tips to help me build my team? I don't want to say quicker, right? Because we want to be deliberate. We want to find the right candidate. But help me get some more candidates, because I don't have any right now from this ad.
Sure. Well, I think there's a couple of things to keep in mind. One is I would back up and figure out, first of all, do you want a licensed agent, or do you want to find somebody and persuade them to get their license? Two completely different approaches.
Yes.
If you want a licensed agent, guess what? There's a list. Like, I don't know, maybe in California, the list is so long that it would, be painful.
Yeah.
But in any given market, in any given MLS, the list is probably somewhat manageable, even if it's 10,000 names.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow you can get that list. Some MLSs make it available. You can, export a CSV file and have access to that. Some others, maybe your broker has access to that, and you could ask your broker, hey, can you please? And depending on what software they're paying for, I had the ability in leadership at my brokerage to create a list of agents, and it would also be how long they've had their license, right? Yep. So I would suggest figure it out, and don't be too quick to say, it doesn't exist. Get creative, beat the bushes, ask your title company, figure out somebody who can help you get this list. Maybe you have to go to the state records and see if those can be exported. In Colorado, they can't. I've checked. I can't go to the state license and export that list. But if you could find out who has been in business, I would say 2 or 3 years, right? One is fine too, sure. 1, 2, maybe 3 years, and they haven't been crushing it on their own, right? And then you send out, say, a bomb email to the entire list and say, here's what I offer. Now be prepared to say what you offer. Charlie, the majority of agents who say to me, it's not working, and my sarcasm is probably not helping today, but my unfavorable impression of the belligerent agent. But it's amazing how agents don't see themselves. So I want to encourage you, look in the mirror and see how you're coming across, right? If you're saying, I really need help, I really want a buyer's agent, but you don't have a compelling offer.
Yeah, you need to know your value proposition.
You got to know why you.
Agreed. Yeah, write that down.
Yes.
And you're leaving parts out of it, by the way. More than likely, right? I mean, I know you've gone through this with so many of your people recently, and so have I. It's I got a transaction coordinator. Great. I'll pay for some stuff. Okay, what's that mean? I was looking in Indeed. 30 minutes ago, I was going through this with a client, and somebody had a really good ad. I will pay your real estate bills. That's rather compelling, right? Now you need to be a team player and be willing to work on all that. We're not trying to attract the lazy people.
Yeah.
But then there's also the coaching and mentoring piece.
Yeah.
We're going to put a plan together for you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer's agent, and we're going to hold you accountable to it, right? We're going to give you leads. We're going to help you close those leads. And we have a culture of top producers around here, and this is the way we do it.
Yeah.
So I think thinking all of that stuff through, your chances are you're leaving stuff out.
Sure. Well, and I think, Charlie, in my experience, and I think with everybody, there's all types. So you may have all kinds of great things that you didn't mention, but I'll tell you, some of the agents I coach don't have all those great things. They don't even know what I'm asking them to make a list of. It's like, I'm relatively new. I managed to, strike gold. I'm drowning. I need help.
Right.
Okay, but you hardly know what you're doing. So how are you going to attract and guide someone else?
Yep.
And this is where this sharpen the saw concept is so important. So we just pivoted away from it, but I want to come back to it. And I Googled Abraham Lincoln while we were talking. So should you spend time taking MLS classes? Do you have time for that? This Abraham Lincoln quote says, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe."
Right.
So can you continue to work the way you are? If you don't have time to create systems and structure and guidance for a buyer's agent, if you cannot create daily disciplines, weekly meetings, hour of power, if you cannot put all that together because you don't have time, how are you going to survive without them continuing to work the way that you are? Because I've heard it all. It's a chicken and egg problem, right? I can't make it the way I am. I can't slow down long enough to create something compelling enough to attract talent. Well, pick, right? Maybe as a temporary, as a Band-Aid, you could pay somebody in your office by the hour to show for you while you slow down and focus on creating a business worth attracting to, right? Or maybe you have to start referring out some of your buyers to get ahead of this, because you cannot just work 12-hour days, 7 days a week for the rest of your life with little kids at home. I'm thinking of someone in particular, without a plan. So the things that you listed, I think, are fabulous. The thing that you have to know is somebody who will be attracted to a team, who will thrive on a team, and who will stay is not an aggressive, driver, confident, independent, I can do it myself team leader. Right. That's not who we're trying to attract. Yep. So the person that you want, who is probably a high I, high S on the disc, has a people orientation, right? When they say, "Oh, I'm a people person," these people really are a people person, right? As opposed to, so Charlie, you and I, we expose ourselves all the time as being opposites on the disc, right? Yep. I'm a high IS, I am a people person. You're more of a DC, which is you're more of a task person, right? Yep. You're a bottom line person. Sure. So, and there's value, there's incredible value in all types in the disc. But when you're looking for a buyer's agent, somebody who has a natural people orientation is ideal. So then when you say, "I'm going to handle your paperwork, baby," they're going to go, "Oh, thank heavens." It's like the one biggest point of pain. Or, "I'm going to structure your days, give you guidance, hold you accountable, give you a certain amount of leads, but help you grow the brand and attract people from your own sphere as well. I'm going to make you profitable. Don't worry, I got you." That confidence, that structure, that's what a people-oriented person needs. They need that task-oriented person to say, "I've got you." Charlie, I think a lot of successful team leaders, they're not task-oriented people either.
Well, I was just going to ask.
Right, they're not.
What if you're the people person and you need more help because you've attracted so many people?
Well, you're just going to have to lean on your own ding-dang determination, right? Yeah. If you're going to be in charge, you got to put on your big kid pants. And this is something that I got. I was in Arizona the last couple of months with my sister, and I got to have wonderful walks in the wee hours of the morning with her and her best friend, who's a PE teacher. And I got this truth nugget from this woman. And she was saying that she has discovered that kids really don't know exercise. And when she pushes them hard in PE, they'll start breathing so hard that they'll get really worried. Like they'll kind of freak out because they like breathing that hard scares them. Okay. And she'll comfort them and say, no, there's nothing wrong. It's okay. This is what happens when you push your body. She says, hard things are hard. I'm like, ugh, that's gold, man. Hard things are hard. Don't pity yourself. Don't run away. So as a team leader, when you say, wow, I'm not a naturally task-oriented person, stepping up and creating structure so that I can lead and grow a profitable business is hard. Yes, it is, honey. Hard things are hard. That's
Right.
okay. No panic attack necessary.
Well,
So,
and I think people need to decide what they want.
yeah.
You know, do you want to grow the team and go through that hard, right? Or do you just want to be the single agent, and when you get too many people, you got to refer them out?
Well, sure. That's a good point, Charlie. Not everybody needs to grow a team.
You know, so I mean, I know teams are the end thing. I know, but you and I both know some amazingly efficient and very wealthy single agents that have no desire to grow a team or be a boss or have to worry about other people other than themselves and their family.
Yeah.
That's fine. I got no problem with that.
That is. But I think, Charlie, then knowing the craft well enough to make that decision,
Yes.
because some people will shy away from hiring anyone, even an assistant, because they'll say, no one can do it as well as me, right? I'm a control freak, which is code for I'm so disorganized, I couldn't possibly tell someone else what I need.
I like that. Yeah.
So what I want to encourage everyone listening to realize is when I say hard things are hard, I don't mean you'll be exhausted for the rest of your life. I hope that the hard is in the sharpening and that the chopping the tree will just be pleasure, right? That using that sharp axe, to get the task done, that part will be pleasure. That sharpening, and actually, if you think about it, sharpening could be pretty pleasurable too. It's beating a tree with a dull axe. That's exhausting, right? So when I say hard things are hard, it's about growing your skill in areas where you don't currently have skill. So if you aren't currently a talented team leader or have skill at hiring or guiding or training, that's going to be a learning curve for you.
Yep.
Just like learning to do real estate in the first place was a learning curve, and it is a worthy pursuit. So sharpen your axe. It'll be worth it.
I like that. And know your value proposition. So the money relationship with your team is appropriate.
Yeah.
If you have no value, you'll be competing for team members on price, and you're going to find yourself not profitable.
Sure.
Because they're going to keep coming back to you and say, well, I can get that elsewhere. I can do this. I can do that, right? The teams that have a super high value proposition, I've got team leaders that give their buyer's agents less than 50%. And the retention rate is through the roof. These people have no intention of leaving because she gives them so much value, and they're happy to keep 45%. And some people out there might think, well, that's insane. Why wouldn't they go to such and such and get a 70-30 or an 80-20? They could, but the value at such and such isn't there. They're willing to pay for the value that they're receiving from the team. So you really need to spend some time on the value proposition.
You're making an extremely...
It can't just be leads.
You're
it's
making
not
an
leads.
Extremely valuable point, Charlie, because here's the other thing. The person that you want to attract, that people-oriented person, will stay for the culture.
Right.
And when you say, well, I don't have that, so I'll just offer lower splits, you are attracting somebody who just wants more money, and that's not the person you want, because now they're always going to be looking for a cheaper split.
Yep, precisely.
Yeah.
No, that's this show was great. Next week, Eyerusalem will be back from her Philadelphia vacation. We hope. I hope everybody has a good weekend. Thanks, Amy, for joining us. Thanks for producer Jackie for putting the show on. Have a good weekend. We'll see you all soon. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.